Miguel. Very good.
Well,
Lovely to have you here.
Great to see you. You did really well. Just to the high D, keep that finger there.
Oh, is that what it was? Keep the top finger
But that was awesome performance. I was going to join in. I was about to join in, but
do you know how long we've been practicing that for?
6 weeks.
Well,
no, we practiced that for about 90 seconds. John knows
that was
how
wonderful.
to
We
play.
really loved it. I am very impressed because I thought I could try to teach you something, but you know it
I think
already.
we have a lot to learn, Miguel. You can teach us. Miguel Lawrence, Britain's Got Talent. We just saw you there, recorder player. And also Tom Redmond, Director of Music at Chetham's School of Music, where you've done this research that we're not playing the recorder like we used to.
Well, yeah, I mean, that statistic relates to our situation at Chetham's, where 10 years ago we had over 15 first-study recorder players. We now have 3, and that number doesn't look like it's going to increase anytime soon. And you know, nationally, it is something that isn't played as frequently as it used to be.
Why is that?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons. The obvious one is that we've just come out of a pandemic where the idea of blowing through an instrument and spreading aerosols was massively frowned upon. And you had children who were, you know, in the middle of their primary school education when we were all sent home for 2 years, there was no music. And then once you have that gap, then there isn't someone older than you inspiring you, and you lose that chain of inspiration. And it is having a knock-on effect, not just on the recorder, but on many instruments that were difficult to take up again post-pandemic.
Or is it just that parents have hidden them all after years of having to listen to terrible recorder playing like ours? Because I mean, you play it beautifully, but sometimes for the rest of us, it's not.
Sorry to interrupt you, but if you think of a violin being played by 40 students at the same time without any proper practice, it'll also be quite
challenging.
Horrible. Yeah, I mean, so I think it's a bit of a bad reputation recorders have, but it's very complex. What Tom was saying, yes, that was probably the main reason why the recorder is not played so much, but there are many other reasons as well, I think.
How did you get into it?
I nicked my father's recorder. He was not a professional musician. He used to play the piano for fun. Some friends of his, when he was about 40 years old, started a recorder group, you know, an amateur recorder group. That was in Mexico. My father was British. So they started a recorder group, but he could never pick it up properly, so I nicked it from him. I just picked it up from his bedroom and started playing it, because that's the thing, you couldn't even learn it by yourself to begin with. So that was how I picked it up when I was 12 or so.
And how did you get from that to where you are now?
Well, I just kept at it.
You must have loved it straight away.
Yeah, well, I did become a musician. I also picked up the flute, but I never put my recorder away. And recently, I kind of like a second love affair with the recorder, because I discovered the Dolmetsch recorders made by this famous recorder maker in the mid-20th century. And they are really special kind of recorders, which I love, and which have made me kind of, I feel really, really enthusiastic about the sound of the recorder as it was at that time in the 50s and 60s. Because the recorders we use today are not quite the same. So it's a long story. It's probably not the right moment to talk about it, but I love the recorder. I've always loved it.
I sense your love of it. Are you able to give us a little?
Well, I can give you the opening of that one.
Yeah, do.
Etc.
Yay!
There you go. There's the inspiration, Tom. That's what you need more of.
The inspiration, well, this came about because we have a student she's just about to leave Chetham's, and she's playing concerto with our symphony orchestra at the beginning of July. And this is the first time in Chetham's, 400 years history, that a student has performed a recorder concerto with the symphony orchestra in the Bridgewater Hall. And this is a piece that Miguel has actually recently recorded as well. And so it is an amazing moment for the recorder, for music, and we hope that Anna's performance at the Bridgewater Hall will inspire many other people to take this instrument as seriously as it should be. It's a beautiful instrument.
You said seriously, because you were talking about the flute. Other wind instruments can look a lot more complicated, and lots more options, lots more notes. You don't have many notes on a recorder, do you?
You have all the chromatic scale. You do have all the notes.
I don't know how you can do
I was
that
just
out
gonna
of
say,
that
how are you
many
doing that
holes.
then?
Well, if you've got some time, you can start practicing.
No, not enough time.
Not very, very long. And Tom, how important is it that the recorder, for lots of people, the recorder is like, it's the gateway, isn't it, to music? If you learn recorder at primary school, you at least get the real basics about music. How important is it to get children just a taste of that?
Well, it is important that children experience music in all forms throughout their education. And yes, as you say, the recorder is often seen as the gateway to other things. And it's that early experimentation. You know, it's very straightforward to make a sound on the recorder. It's the hand-eye coordination of following music, the breath coordination, which will lead to so many other musical opportunities. And you know, I read this morning, we're apparently in the midst of the 6th great extinction of various species on the planet. And the recorder, you could argue, is in the middle of that. And if you take away one part of the ecosystem, it has a knock-on effect on everything else. You know, we need the pollinators as much as we need the apex predators.
You've brought all our stories together this morning. Thank you very much indeed.